Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're joining for the first time, hello there. My name is Lois, but you can call me Zitiri, and today I'm teaching you how to make this beautiful gown. So to make this gown, I'll be using a crepe fabric, and I got about 2.5 yards of this fabric. You'll also be needing your tape roll, your scissors, your matching zipper and thread, your ruler, your chalk, and of course your pins. So let's start. So to start with, I'm going to be folding my fabric in two. Just fold it into two equal parts and then fold it again while leaving space for our zip allowance. I'm going to be leaving about 1.5 inches for our zip allowance. So just fold it nicely. So after folding, this is what you should have. So I'm just going to make sure the zip allowance is really 1.5 inches, and you can see it is. Now I'm going to take my shoulder measurement, which is 16 inches divided by 2 would give me 8. I'm not going to be measuring it from the zip allowance but from that folded part. So I'm just going to mark 8 inches there and mark it all the way down. So now from that part, I'm going to be taking my shoulder slant, and I'm using 1.5 inches also for my shoulder slant. So I'm going to connect it to that point in a slant. So from that slant, where my slant stops, I'm going to be taking my armhole depth, which is 8 inches. And I'm going to connect it to the slant in a straight line like this. So now I'm going to be taking my shoulder to waist measurements, which is 17 inches, and I'm going to mark that there and connect the lines. Now I'm going to be taking my bust measurement, which is 38 inches. Divided by 4 will give me 9.5 inches. So I'm going to mark that there and add extra 2.5 inches for allowance. Then extend my armhole line. Then on the waistline, I'm going to take my waist measurement, which is 32 inches. Divided by 4 will give me 8 inches. I'm going to mark that there and add 1.5 inches or 1.5 inches for my dart allowance, and also add extra 2 inches for allowance also. I'm going to connect the lines. So now to get my armhole curve, I'm going to be dividing my armhole depth in two, which is 8 divided by 2, and that will give me 4 inches. And I'm going to mark that there. So on that 4 inches, I'm going to go in by 1/2 inch and then connect it to the top of my slant, just like this. You can use your curve ruler to do this. I'm just going to connect it and then draw a curve to meet the lines. So now we're done with our armhole curve, and this is how it should look like. Now we're going to be taking our neckline measurements, and for the width of my neckline, I'll be using 3.5 inches. I'm doing a square neckline for this outfit, so I'm using 3.5 inches for the width And for the depth, I'm using 7 inches. So I'm just going to mark that there and mark 3.5 inches down and then connect it in a square neckline, a square shape. So now after doing that, this is what our neckline should look like. I'm just going to curve it a little because I don't want it to be sharp. I'm just going to give it a nice curve. And we are done with our neckline. Now from that waistline measurement, I'm going to be coming down by 8.5 inches for my hip line measurement. So I'm just going to mark that there and connect the lines together to form our hip line. I'm going to be taking my hips measurement, which is 44 inches divided by 4 would give me 11 inches. So I'm going to mark that there and add extra 2 inches for allowance and then connect it to my waistline. Now I'm taking my full length measurement and this fabric has about 58 inches and my full length measurement is 58 and a half. So I'm just going to leave it that way and then trim off the rough edges. When that is done, I'm going to take my hip line measurements and what I have there is 13 inches in total. So I'm going to mark that 13 inches all the way down and then connect the lines together. Now we proceed to cutting. So now to cut my back neckline, I'm going to be using 1.5 inches for the depth and the same 3.5 inches for the width. So I'm going to mark that there and then connect it in a curve. And then proceed to cut it out. So now I'm going to be cutting my sleeve and I'm going to be doing a bell sleeve, the slanted length. And to do that, I'm going to measure the length of my sleeve. We have about 30 inches here, so I'm just going to leave it like that. Now I'm going to be taking the measurements for the height of my sleeve cap and I'm going to be using 5 inches for this. So I'm just going to mark that there and connect all the lines. I'm also going to be taking my shoulder to elbow measurements, which is 12 inches. I'm going to mark that there and connect it in a straight line also. So now we have our sleeve cap line and the elbow line also. Now I'm going to be measuring my round sleeve measurement, and my round sleeve measurement is 13 inches, but I'm going to be using 14 inches. That is divided by 2 will give me 7 inches, but I'm going to add extra 1 inch, which is 8 inches. So I'm going to be using 8 inches for my round sleeve measurement. Times 2 will give me 16. Then I add another 2.5 inches for allowance, and I'm marking that on my sleeve cap line. So on my elbow line, I'm also going to use the same 8 inches, then add 2 inches for allowance, and then connect the lines together. Then I'm just going to draw a curve from there to the top of my sleeve, just like this. So just give it a nice curve, and I'm going to cut it off. So when that's done, I'm going to be taking my sleeve length, and my sleeve length is 23 inches. So I'm going to measure it from the top there, 23 inches. Then mark it there and connect the lines in a straight line. So the style of this sleeve is a bell sleeve, but it has slanted length. So I'm going to be measuring the width of what I have there, and what I have there is about 14.5 inches. So I'm just going to connect my sleeve length to my elbow line in a slant like this to form the bell sleeve. So now I want my sleeve to have a high-low effect. So it's going to be slanted. I'll be connecting it from my sleeve length to the end there, and it's going to be in a slant. So just like how I'm doing. So note that the shorter part of the slant is on the folded part of the sleeve and not where the sleeve cap stops at. So it's on the folded part like this. So I'm just going to cut that off now and leave about half an inch for seam allowance just on the hem part. And now our sleeve is ready. So I'm just going to notch the midpoint of the sleeve and let's start sewing. To start sewing, I'm going to be using bias to turn the front and the back neckline. So I'm just going to do that all the way and also do it for the back. And when that is done, this is what it should look like. See, our square neckline is out and the back also looks really nice. I'm also gonna head to join the shoulder of the dress. So do yours too like that, and this is how it looks like at the back. Now I'm going to be placing the back piece together this way. So you join the shoulder to the shoulder and then pin it down. Join the neckline and pin it down also. So when that is done, I'm going to be taking how long I want my zip to be. If you measure your zipper, you have about 24 inches, but for this I'm going to be using 22 inches. So I'm going to mark that there and then take out the 1.5 inches we left for the zip allowance. So I'm just going to mark that there and then join it all the way down to where I would start my slit from, to where the slit will start from, sorry. So for my slit, I'm going to be using 18 inches. So I'm going to mark that like this. Measure 18 inches down and then mark that. So I'm not going to be joining my slit. I'm not going to join it from there. I'm just going to start joining from where my zipper stops to where the slit starts from. So we're going to do that and then add our zipper. So just stitch it with the 1.5 inches allowance we left for our zip. So I'm just going to mark that there, 1.5 inches, and then add the zipper. And when that is done, this is how it should look like. The dress is already coming together nicely. So yours should look like this as well. And as you can see, I haven't done anything to the slit yet. Well, we're going to come back to that in a short while. So now I'm going to be taking the darts at the back of my dress, and to do that I'm going to be measuring 7 inches from where we joined the shoulder. So I'm going to measure 7 inches there, and I'll be using 4 inches as the width of my darts. So I'm going to take 4 inches from the middle and then mark it there. I like to use 13 inches for the length of my darts at the back. So I'm going to be taking 13 inches downwards as the length of my dart and then mark 4 inches as the width of the dart also. Then connect the lines together. Before connecting the lines, I'm also going to take the same measurement for the other side. So 7 inches, then 4 inches as the width, 13 inches, and then 4 inches as the width. Then connect all of the lines together in a straight line. So now on that 13 inches, I'm going to be taking half of it, which is 6.5 inches. So I'm just going to mark that, and on that line, I'm going to be taking half inch on each side of the line. So we're just going to take half inch on the left and on the right. Then I'm going to connect the top of my dart like this in a slant. Need to connect that there. I'm just going to go freehand because using the ruler was not given, so I'm just going to do it free-handed and connect it to the down part also. So I'm just doing this to show you how the shape of your dart should be while joining it. So by the time you fold it this way, your dart should look like this, and then you just run a seam through it. So do the same for the other side. And then to take our front dart, I'm going to be folding the dress in two equal parts, just like this. So fold it in two, and then you pin it so it won't move out of place. Now from the top, I'm going to be taking my shoulder to under bust measurement, and that is 13.5 inches. So I'm just going to mark that there and take 4 inches also for the width of the dart. So just mark it there. Now for my front dart, I like to use 9 inches as the length of the dart. So I'm going to use 9 inches and then use 4 inches also as the width, and then connect the lines together. So now on that line, I'm going to take half of 9 inches, and that will give me 4.5 inches. And then mark half an inch on each side, just like we did for the back. Mark half an inch and then connect it to the top and the down part. Do the same for the other side and then stitch it. After that's done, this is what we have. This is our front dart and this is the back. Now I want to shape the dress, and so I'm going to pin each side together so it doesn't move out of place. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to take my bust measurement, and for this dress I'll be using 40 inches, but my bust measurement is originally 38 inches. So 40 divided by 2 will give me 20, and what we have here is 24. So 4 divided by 2 again give me 2 inches. So I'm going to mark that there. So to measure my waistline, I'm going to be coming down by 8 inches. So I'm just going to mark that there, 8 inches. And then my waist measurement is 32 inches, but for this dress I'll be using 34. 34 divided by 2 would give me 17, and what we have there is about 22 inches. So 22 minus 17 is 5 inches. So I'm going to measure 2.5 inches on each side and then connect it to the bust measurement. So from the waistline, I'm going to be coming down by 8.5 inches for my hip line measurements. So I'm just going to mark that there and then take my hip measurements. I'm using 44 inches. 44 divided by 2 is 22 inches. And what we have there is about 26 inches. So minus 22 would give me 4 inches. Divided by 2 will give me 2 inches. So I'm just going to mark that there and connect it to the waistline. So I'm going to use that 2 inches all the way down. Just mark it. Do the same for the other side and stitch it. After that is done, this is how the dress should look like. You can see it's already coming together nicely and it's looking all pretty already. And this is how it looks like at the back. Now we're back to the slit, and to close it off, I'm going to be folding it this way. You can weave the edges, but mine doesn't need weaving, so I'm just going to leave it that way. You can see that I have triple stitched it so it doesn't lose. So now I'm going to fold it this way. And then place a hemming gum under it. So we're just going to place it under and close it on top like this. Then you're going to iron it. So when that is done, this is how the slit should look like. See how it looks really nice. No hem, no seam. And now from that down part, I'm just going to fold it and stitch it. So we just fold it this way and then stitch it on top round. So now to attach the sleeves, I'm going to be taking the measurement of the armhole there. So I'm just going to place this is in 2 already. And what we have there is about 9.75 inches for the armhole. 9.75 inches, as you can see. So we take our sleeve and then fold it in 2. So make sure it's equal. Fold it neatly in 2. Now from that midpoint, I'm going to be taking that 9.75 inches that we measured from our armhole. So I'm just going to measure it this way and mark it. Then I'll take my round sleeve measurements. I'm going to be using 15 inches. 15 divided by 2 will give me 7.5 inches. So I'm just going to mark that there. Take my shoulder to elbow measurement, which is 12 inches. And then on that line, I'm also going to take 7.5 inches as the round sleeve measurement. I'm just going to connect the lines. And from there, I'm just going to go free-handed all the way down. Do the same for the other side and stitch it. So after stitching, this is what it should look like. Here I'm just trimming off the excess. And when that is done, I'm going to flip the sleeve to the right side and then connect that joining to the joining at the side of the dress. We're just going to pin it together and pin the rest all the way till you reach the midpoint that we notched earlier. So that's the midpoint, and we're going to take that midpoint and pin it to where we join the shoulder. We're going to place it on top and pin it together. So you're just going to keep pinning it all the way around. Do the same for the other side and join. And after joining, this is what the sleeve looks like. So pretty, so nice. Lastly, we're just going to hem the down part of the sleeve, and to do that I'll be using the bias, and our dress is ready. It's giving Oga's wife, rich auntie. It is all shades of gorgeousness. If you like this tutorial, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and thank you for watching up to this point. If you have any questions, you can reach me on Instagram at styled by Zitiri, and I'll be glad to put you through. So till my next tutorial, stay jiggy. Bye.